I'm Francois from Production Music Live, today with Producer Notes, and we're taking a look at the style of an artist called Lynnic, a track called Rise, and we are only using Ableton stock effects and instruments plus Serum, different chords, different melodies, only PML sounds, MIDIs and samples that you can find in the Melodic House Pack Beyond Live, also linked in the description. And so we have a fully arranged track here lasting around 5 minutes, reverse engineering the style to learn the thinking behind the style and apply the techniques to our own music. And we're starting with an intro. Low cut on kicks. Bit of a kick tom play here, some Atmo vocals in the background and some one note plugs and Atmos in the background, and then we're bringing in the low end. It's more like a Spotify edit here. You can quickly mix it into your DJ set if you loop this section, but then after already 30 seconds, we're getting to the gist of it with this first break. Sustained bass line coming in, and then we have the first drop where everything is playing together. And we have this gliding bass here. Now we're bringing in the cymbals and stuff, and then we are adding more drum elements. And you know, it's just getting a bit more emphasized, and this high keys element is also coming in. And then we are falling into the break where we have these dreamy vocals here from the PML Vocals Volume 4 pack.
Chasing shadows in the dead of the night, where dreams take flight. We're dancing through the stars, reaching for the sky. In the twilight, we're running wild with a fearless will. Where time is ours. Look into the unknown, time is standing still.
Okay, subs are coming in, these keys are coming back, and now we are sort of building it up towards our drop. Low cuts here, so bass is leaving the spectrum for a moment. Yeah, that's the main drop, and then again the vocals are coming in one more time.
Neon light, chasing shadows in the dead of the night.
They take one more turn, and then we are going into the outro where everything winds down. We have a full playback at the end of this video, but here I'm skipping through it quickly. And that's the track overview. If we quickly take a look at the groups in single mode, here I'm soloing this one, so we just listen to the drum loops. Kind of this Böhmer or Jan Blomqvist type drum. Very typical melodic house drum. Tom is supporting a kick if we are playing a sustained bass line. And later in the outro, we're bringing in a couple of rides on top. Here with longer tails. Okay, the bass group sounds like this. gliding bass sounds, and a fifth on top here with this mid bass. And the instruments group sounds like this. And in the break part with the piano, or here, yeah, and the last group down here is the effects group, and I'm playing this part here where they're all playing. People, children, playground outside, and some other texture. Yeah, hail, so bad weather. Okay, and also we have this vocals group up here where we have this main vocal.
Neon light.
And we have this vocal Atmo. Autopanned. And it's ducked to the main vocals. Whenever the main vocal is playing, this is going down a bit. And then we have the reverb on send 1 or send A here with 3 seconds of decay time. We have an H delay here on our second or on channel B, and we're sending them into the send channel, sidechaining this to the kick and then sending it to the master. It has a compressor, 2 saturators slightly applied here, and 2 limiters, taking care of the basics and making it a bit louder. And now, before we go through the elements one by one, who's Lynnic? It's a producer from Germany, very successful on Spotify's millions of plays, really, with emotional, deep, and melodic house. His track Rise, for example, has 25 million plus plays. There's a similar track called Together, and also a pretty new track called Maze of Memories. And you will find some similarities to Ben Böhmer's sound, or also with the new track lately to an artist called Revo with these, LFO leads. And they seem to incorporate, or aiming to incorporate, epic melodies and chords, also drawing inspiration from cinematic compositions like Hans Zimmer, for example. So that's pretty obvious in the sound. It's laid back melodic house, basically perfect for these emotional, Spotify playlists. So let's take a look at the drums first and take a look at the kick setup here. Nice and deep kick, kind of like, and also soft around the edges. So something that Ben Böhmer would use as well. And already we have this second kick here, right, sitting next to it. It's more a blippy, clicky thing. Quickly closing the cymbals here so we can focus a bit on the toms, because this blippy click actually is sitting right in the same position as our tom sound. And let's quickly take it off and just play the tom together with the kick to see what's going on. So these deactivated EQs on both of them here are low cuts that we are bringing in every now and then towards the end of these, 8 bar loops or something. And then in the mix, it seems as if at certain times the tom has a bit of a trouble to stand out, to really cut through. And that's where this thing comes in handy. If we realign it here and I'm bringing in the kick together with the tom, this one really helps the tom cut through the mix. You have this snap at the beginning there. And now the tom together. Without it. Has this nice blip at the beginning of the sound. And then we are putting that together with a clap on the clap position. Here in a simpler device. And it's the MH-Clap 005 Dreams. You can find that in the sample pack part of this kit here, in the one-shots, in the claps section here. That one. There you go. Just rolled off some high frequencies here to make it a bit more smooth around the edges. And then every now and then in the arrangement setup, we're, for example, in the build-up here, we're filtering it in a bit. So this is a good foundation right there. And now let's take a look at the cymbals. We just need some hats around that, like closed hi-hats, for example. Here on the third position. More deep. And this one is getting an extra reverb here because it's not matching the send reverb. We need it shorter on this sound. And let's take a look at the open hi-hat right next to it here. The long tail. And we have a tambourine sound around it as well. If you look at the grid here, if I'm setting it to 16th notes, you can see this thing has a little bit of groove. That one is coming early here. That one as well. So 2 and 4. And then we have another shaker here, this one. And this one is sort of late on the kick. And this might seem a bit unusual. Take a look at what it sounds like in the context with these hats. It's interesting, huh? Sometimes you have an element and play it alone together with a kick doesn't really make sense. But this one makes your swing and groove more interesting here. So the attack is already pretty long, and then it's also very late here. So you could argue it's not really playing in this position, it's actually playing somewhere here. You could measure this now in milliseconds. But I think you get the point. And now we have this transition element here next to it into the drop. And also we have these snares right in front of the drop here. Supporting the lower. Bit of room on it, so we're sending that into the reverb here on return channel A. And then later in the outro we have another shaker loop, this one here. Nice sample here, and we are combining that with this closed hi-hat on the third position and a ride. Every now and then I get asked, hey, why don't you pan this stuff more? Well, it's actually panned here. And you can also see this one, or hear that this one is panned as well. How that's moving around your ears. Okay, so these are the drum elements. And let's go over to the bass group, where we have basically sub bass. And the sidechain is happening here on the group. And you can see the overlaps in the notes already. Here we have them, there we have them. We have them almost everywhere, just not here. So our sub bass contains two elements. We have a layer 1. Which is a sine wave, and below we even have a saw wave, and that saw wave is going through the filter. That's why we don't hear the high end, or actually it's filtered down here again, so that would still work. Nothing crazy going on here. This is the setup, and this is the filter we are sending it through, MG 24 decibels per octave low pass. Cut that off at 180 hertz, and on top of that, we have another instance sitting, and it's just an octave lower. It's also quieter. it lacked a bit of power without the second layer, so that one was added in as well. And then you see we have a double inversion here, so the entire group is sent through this utility with both of them inverted, but then we have layer 1 being inverted again and layer 2 isn't. So that's how we are making room down there to make sure these don't interfere or phase cancel each other. If you want to learn more about this concept, I highly recommend the masterclass with mixing and mastering engineer Julia Borelli. Link in the description. These were the MIDI notes we were playing here. But this one is, playing an octave higher at least, or maybe even 2 octaves higher, but then we are bringing it down -5. So it's actually playing a fifth on top of this other bass. So listen in. And there we have a nice setup. And now we can mess around here with the mod wheel on this filter cutoff. And that's exactly what's happening here. Every now and then we are automating the mod wheel, and thereby we are automating the filter exactly on these overlaps between these notes. And keep in mind, we are setting it to mono, legato, and portamento up, so it nicely glides over. Coming in here with those overtones. Beautiful sound, and it's then going through the stocking device here. It's basically our sidechain. Then we're saturating it a bit here on our bass group. And we have this sub drop element here in the bass group as well. It's just a pitch down on a bass sound, nothing crazy going on there. And we are playing the sub as a res bass or a supporting bass here in our break part as well at times when, these pads and stuff are playing. So over to the instruments group. So what is going on here? We have this MIDI. Kind of these passing chords always at the end of 2 bars. We are taking a look at the exact chord progression when we look at the pianos or pads. And let's quickly take a look at the sound here. So what is going on in Serum? We have saw waves, 8 in oscillator A and 1 in oscillator B. So this one is centered and everything is being sent through a filter. And the envelope on the amplifier has a decay time of 1 second, and the envelope 2, which controls the filter here, has 351 milliseconds. And if we look at the matrix, it's a fairly complex patch. We are automating the mod wheel controls the filter frequency and drive. Envelope 3 also controls the filter frequency. Must be this filter then here. Yeah. This one is controlled also slightly with this decay here. We have a bit of reverb in the sound, and we have a multiband compressor active. So if I'm taking down the delay here, we can see it this way. So these are the active elements, and you can copy the settings if you want to. Just pause the video at this point. You can also copy the matrix settings. That's what's going on here. Going back, essentially, we have this nice, plucky, dreamy key sound. And so if we mess around with the mod wheel, we are affecting the filter drive and cutoff here. Then also at times we bring in reverb. So this is the sound. And why does it delay so much? Well, the entire group of the instruments here is getting sent into the H delay, which adds in this texture in the background here of our track. And it still keeps going because it has this endless feedback basically. Dotted and dry wet all the way up, obviously. And what else happens? Then we are rolling off low end, making sure we carve in these higher frequencies here. Then it's getting a bit more pushed to the side. Again, reference to the reference track that does that as well. And then we're trying to get it a bit wider. These are elements or processing steps that you're doing when then entering the mixing stage and really referencing it with a frequency analysis to the original reference track. And then we also have this delay here, 2x2 ping pong delay. And you can see strategically taken out here at this point where we want this clean break part right in front of the drop. So if we quickly play this part, we can see why this delay is off. And then this auto filter allows us low cuts. This one allows us high cuts over time. This is something that happens more towards the beginning and the end of the track. The low cuts are also distributed over the arrangement here as well. It's heavily ducking, by the way, with this sidechain here, or this LFO tool, kind of household made. There's also a sidechain here in the group. And then you can see this final EQ here is sort of taking care of the actual peaks of our filter or our frequencies. And the highest point is here right in front of the drop. Okay, then this key's melody gets support by this key high one. Just playing the high notes, and this one has delay on top as well. And what is going on in the sound? Let's quickly take a look. Here we have less voices, just 2 voices here on oscillator B. This one is playing an octave higher. We're sending it all through MG low 24 decibels per octave filter. The reverb has 6.7 seconds of decay, and then we have another filter here. What is going on? Which filter does what? So envelope 2 controls the filter that you can see here. And then we also have the mod wheel again controlling the other filters. And whatever we do with the mod wheel here affects this filter. So we need to play something to see that. Look at the blue dot here. Okay, and this one is sitting on top, you know, beefing up the sound here for this melody. So we are keeping this one very low here in the mid frequencies, emphasizing on the higher frequencies. Again, this is modeled after a reference track. Sometimes this looks a bit weird with such an EQ curve, but sound design wise, it just works here. Delay on top and then ducking that thing as well. And the next element is our piano. So what's going on here? Simple piano. We sort of recorded a couple of piano notes here in different octaves. And so everybody can use that without having to install software. But if you have a nice piano plugin, of course, feel free to load it up. We just wanted to make sure everybody can use this. And so we have G sharp here. Let me activate it down here and bring down this G quickly. So G sharp minor, minor third, major third. The root is an octave up. And then we are going over to B. And now here we can bring down D sharp. And then we see B major. So B major here, but D sharp an octave up. So these are voiced closer together. And then F sharp major, major third, minor third, D sharp minor, and at the end we have E, E major. So let's quickly play that again. We have a dampened here, high frequencies off, low frequencies off, and some resonant frequencies taken out on the side. Nice progression together with the melody quickly. Okay, and then let's quickly take a look at what all these plugs are doing here. So while we are at it, plug 1 is doing basically playing the root note, so G sharp here. That one will always fit with your piano. And then we have another plug below that, and this one is playing fifths on top. And 7 saw waves sent through the filter here. Envelope opening up the cutoff a bit of reverb on the sound. Then we have pad Atmo behind that. D sharp. Just the 5th to G sharp here. And 16 saw waves stacked next to one another and sent through this filter here. MG low with a bit of resonance opened up. And a bit of reverb on the sound as well. So this is how the Atmo in the background is coming together. These are your drones, basically the bedding for the track. And let's take a look at what's playing together with the piano here in our build-up. We have these pad saw elements. So a couple of voices playing these sounds, 8 voices of saw waves. Like you see, we are almost always using saw waves here and sending them through filters. This is a repeating concept, so they all fit nicely to one another. And this one now is playing basically the same thing our bass is playing. So it's an octave higher than the bass and it supports the bass. So what is this pad doing here? If we're taking a look at that, looks fairly similar to our piano. Let's actually start with pad 2. I think this one is lower. So we have a bit of movement in this sound. Probably LFO. Yeah, that's LFO2. Affecting the panning, affecting the wavetable positions for both oscillators. But then we see LFO3 is actually the one that affects the flip thing here in our saw rounded oscillator A wavetable. Now you also notice the attack time 500 milliseconds here on envelope 1, sorry. And these are our effects. Chorus sitting there, reverb sitting there, EQ rolling off, some resonant frequencies there, distortion slightly driven in at times. Is that affecting? Yeah, that's opening up a bit. And then another filter. Taking the airy parts out here and then hyper and dimension. So that's the middle bedding here sitting next to the piano, has a bit of movement. This is always nice for melodic house. Now you have this organic piano element, but you also have the electronic moving parts around it. And on top of that, we have an octave higher sitting with lots of reverb in the background, these dreamy pads. 4 voices here. Okay, so these are instruments here in the instruments group. I think all of them are covered. Let's quickly take a look at the single elements here in the on the effects group, sidechain to the kick, and then we have this noise downlifter here towards the break start. And in the background we have a bit of hail. And then we have this chattering outside. And these Atmos and plugs are playing all the time, so this is basically one big fat layers. And then the layer that's still missing is this vocal Atmo up here from this sample. That's being sent around your ears. And as we saw before, we are rolling off low end and we are sidechaining, or we are sidechaining it or docking it to our main vocal, which is playing in the break and in the second part of the main drop.
Where dreams take flight, we're dancing through the stars, reaching for the sky.
Still works nicely. It's warped with the complex pro algorithm here, so we have it nice and clean.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky.
Quickly turn off the effects quickly.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky.
It's also fine. We're just cleaning up a bit in the middle here in the low end.
Through the stars, reaching for.
We want it more dreamy. We want it more focused on the high frequencies.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky.
And now we're just blending in a bit of room here on the side.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky.
Sending this shorter reverb a bit to the side to make that fatter, and then it also goes through this 4x4 delay ping pong.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky. Through the stars, reaching for the sky. In the twilight, we're running wild with the fearless.
And then it gets sent into the 6.5 seconds reverb decay.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky. In the twilight, we're running wild.
Okay, and then we have a bit of multi-band.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky.
Where we hear a bit more of the.
Through the stars, reaching for the sky. Through the stars, reaching for the sky.
Okay, and in the mix,
through the stars, reaching.
Go to the second part here to listen to the difference with and without the multi-band dynamic.
Dancing through the stars, reaching for the sky. Dancing through the stars, reaching for the sky. Dancing through the stars, reaching for the sky.
Always helps it get more clearly pushed to the foreground. And what's on the vocals group? Nothing. And then again, we had this sends group that picks up on these send effects and then sidechains them and sends them to the master. So these are the single elements one by one. So we can take a last look at our arrangement. So we have a quick intro with low cuts, and then we bring in the bass, and we do that for 8 bars. So you can loop it on your CDJs if you want to play this live. Mix from your prior track into the first break. Intro, break, drop, outro. Fairly simple arrangement. So summing up key elements, you have your kick with a tom supporting the low end, so there's a little bit of groove. And then you have the sustained bass line below that with overlaps, so it glides nicely. You put it to legato, portamento up, and set it to mono, so it glides nicely. And then you're playing the fifth on top of that with a higher bass note or an octave higher. One of the most typical starts to a melodic house song. And then you have a deep clap sound. And then just distribute some shakers, tambourines around that. And then some clean open and closed hi-hats for the exact grooves. And then we are inputting the main keys here, filtered saw waves. And they're playing thirds on top, and the bass is playing fifths. So you play root note with bass 1, fifths with bass 2, and thirds mainly with your melodies. And then the upper harmonics being covered by a second, an octave higher keys element. Really a formula. And then you have a static pad sound on the root note or on the fifth, and some static one note plugs also on the root note or on the fifth or on both. And just to be sure, you put in a piano for the organic feel here. Perfect formula for melodic house, dreamy vibes, emotional, and then you put some textures in there, some crunchy sounds. And a vocal drone. Okay, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough. Feel free to check out the links in the description for this Melodic House Beyond Live sound pack with this project file and 5 other project files, fully arranged tracks with the sounds of the pack. Also, if you want to learn melodic house production from start to finish, we have a full course. I'm linking to it in the description. And if you want to learn these mixing and mastering techniques, check out the Julia Borelli Masterclass. She's mastering for artists releasing on Afterlife and Anjunadeep. Also, check out this course to learn arranging like a pro, the Deep Premium Drum series for fantastic drum samples. And if all of this sounds great to you, check out the Everything Bundle, the best deal on the store and the best way to support this channel. So thank you for your time and attention. I'll talk to you again soon, and let's listen to the entire track.
stars reaching for the sky. In the twilight, we're running wild with a fearless will. What time is ours? Look into the unknown, time is standing still.